We are ready. Yay!
Oh,
Finally, we've been talking about doing this for so long.
we have, and it's so amazing to be doing it. And I mean, we chat to each other a lot anyway, but to be doing it in this capacity and sharing, like I'm excited for you to share what you know and for the people who listen to my podcast to hear it because I love you and you speak so beautifully and eloquently about everything. You're so magnificent at what you do. So yeah, I'm very excited.
Thank you. And this will be on my podcast as well. So we'll do a bit of an introduction of ourselves in a second, just so that we can, properly introduce ourselves on each other's podcast, which is so kind of meta and cute. But I think I was so excited when you asked me to collaborate with you, first because it's like the ultimate divine femme thing to do, to be in collaboration with another woman and with another soul. But also because I feel like we talk about this so often, even when we're not explicitly talking about feminine energy and masculine energy, we're kind of always talking about it. We're
Mhm.
always talking about like where we are in our cycles or what we're experiencing in the world when we're reading the news, like we were just talking about Hales. And
Yeah.
it just, even when we're not explicitly pointing it out, it's always a part of our experience, don't you think?
Yeah, absolutely. Always a part of the experience, always a part of the conversation,
Yeah.
regardless. Yeah. I mean, like anything, even when you're talking about relationships or work or,
Yeah.
yeah, it's all interwoven with all of that, I think.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
obviously, the big elephant in the room, which is always spoken about when you have a good girlfriend across from you, is that we live in this massively patriarchal society, and that if you're listening to this, you're more than likely a woman or you identify as a woman, and you are probably coming up against like brick walls and exhaustion or burnout or, constantly feeling misunderstood, or maybe not even constantly, but often enough feeling understood that you are seeking to have a better understanding of how we can tap into our feminine energy so that we are not feeling so at war with ourselves or at war with the world and like our expression of day-to-day life and in our relationships, as you said. Like, I think women want to talk about this more because it's becoming more in the forefront, would you say?
Yeah, absolutely. And we were just talking about work before, but I've had quite a few women in the last few weeks who are really struggling with the 9 to 5, are really struggling with that structure, that day-to-day structure that's set up for men. And we're not here to hate on men. That's not what we're talking about. But, the workday's structure is day by day. It's a 24-hour cycle, whereas women are not like that. And there's more and more women noticing as we do start becoming more into the energy of the divine feminine, and that starts becoming more and more prominent within everyone. Yeah, that women are really struggling
Yeah.
to go to work because in that 9 to 5 day-to-day thing, that groundhog day, because it's just not our natural
Yeah.
way of state of being at the end of
Yeah.
the day.
Couldn't agree more. Well, since you were speaking about the women that you work with, why don't you introduce yourself for the people on my
Yeah.
podcast who may have never heard of you? We actually met last year and we bonded over our mutual desire to have heart-led, soul-led, feminine-led businesses who empower women. So tell me a little bit and tell everyone else about who you are and what you do and yeah, kind of how you came to this space in your life, I think. I think that context is important.
Yeah, for sure. So, yeah, if you're new to my podcast or if you're on Stef's podcast, I'm Hayley and I own the Sacred Priestess Mystery School, which is a beautiful sacred space that helps support women as we're sort of moving on this awakening, our healing journey. Some women are just, maybe aren't full on into spirituality, but they're just noticing that they're wanting to change and grow and be a little bit more intentional in their lives, and it sort of a feeling like that sense of there's just something more, and not in a way of being ungrateful for where they are now, but just, starting to feel that real energy of expansion and possibility. So yeah, but I work with these seven goddesses who I have channeled through. Yeah, so I work with those within my school, within the programs to bring about different ways of being. So I work with Mary Magdalene, Goddess Isis, Goddess Sophia, Athena, Aphrodite, Mother Mary. And yeah, so they all bring through these different keys, these different energies that we can work with to help us really step deeper into divine feminine, really activate sacred feminine power. And when we do that, we find a lot more clarity. We find deeper connection to intuition. We find more confidence in what we're doing moving forward. Like we don't feel like we're kind of floundering about. Like we just have the confidence to go, okay, well, this is what's happening. What can I bring in? How can I move forward with this? So, yeah, did that make sense?
It makes perfect sense. And as someone who has been watching what you're doing, looking at everything that you're sharing with your community, I think it's so important the work that you've been sharing because just words like intuition, you know, nothing is more important than being in touch with your intuition. And if these goddesses that you are channeling and that you're working with are another portal or another connection or way for women to be connecting with their intuition, it's just it's just another tool, another way in which we can actually become more of who we were always meant to be.
Yeah, for sure. And
Yeah.
that's what they bring forward, It's not about bringing forward goddesses in like worship. It's about the energies and the frequencies that they bring forward for you to embody so that when you're met with a challenge or you're met with, something within work that's not going right or a relationship that's not going right, you can bring forward these frequencies, whether it be self-love and compassion, whether it be strategy, whether it be
Mm.
whatever it is, and use that yeah, within your life.
Yeah, that's so beautiful. And
Yeah.
I guess I can do a bit of an introduction of myself around that too, because there is so much in common there.
Mm.
I run an online program as well called Manifest Your Soulmate. And I work with single women who want to manifest and attract the love of their life. As you know, Hales, we are so involved in each other's businesses now.
Yeah.
And yeah, so much of how I'm working with these women through my 8-week program and through one-on-one coaching and group coaching as well is so much of connecting with what is it that they actually truly desire? What internally is it that is stopping them from believing that it is possible? And then what are the actions that they can take to claim what is rightfully theirs? And when I'm listening to you talk about your business and your offering and your services and the way that you are so desiring to help as many women as possible get in touch with their essence and their divine femme energy, that is exactly what manifestation is all about as well. And that is exactly why we wanted to come and meet today and like have this conversation today in both of our communities so we can actually see how they work together and how they're almost not even two separate things.
Mm.
Like in the conversations that we've been having leading up to this in the weeks before, they're kind of inseparable, would you say?
Oh, absolutely. And like straight away, I just went, yeah, just wait for the egg wisdom. We're going to talk
Right.
about egg wisdom in a minute. And I think that's exactly, that whole thing is just one and the same.
Yeah. Yeah, we have a list of notes that we wanted to make sure that we cover off today, just because, yeah, we've been talking about this and we know that, oh, like this is happening and this is happening and this informs this. And, we're both constantly reading and exploring these topics because for me, exploring manifestation and intuition and personal development and growth is a hobby. It's like a way of life for me. It's my favorite thing to do. It's the podcast I'm listening to. It's the things that I'm reading. It's the people that I have in my life. Like this is their passion too, just like you, Hales. And I think like this is why, yeah, it's so exciting to talk about because it all blends together and there's so much to share and there's so many takeaways that people can get from just doing one simple thing, which is connecting with their intuition and their essence, you know?
Yeah, absolutely, for sure. For
Yeah.
sure.
Okay, so since you are the one that invited me and wanted to talk about this, I think it would be a good idea for you to tell us, like, why did you want to talk about this topic? Why now? What is so important about this that everyone we think needs to hear about it?
Yeah, well, I think it's becoming for most people quite obvious that there is something happening within the divine feminine, within womanhood throughout society as things begin to escalate. And whether you are, someone like me who is, and in my world, who is like really into like what's going on with the awakening and, on a spiritual level, or whether, you're not. I think we can all agree that there is a hell of a lot going on in the
Yeah,
world right now that's really pushing everyone to their limits. And,
absolutely.
at the moment, a lot of what we're seeing on the outside is really bringing up the divine feminine. It's really people who sort of haven't really either noticed it, or it's been because the patriarchy, and again, this isn't about man hating, the just as a structure is so ingrained within everyone that you don't even really notice the structures you're within. And you just saying that before we press record, and Steph was talking about the workplace and how where the desks are set, the lighting, the heights
The
of this and that is
temperature.
all, yeah, is all set to the average male. And it's even those tiny little things that we don't realize. And, all of this divine feminine energy is bringing all of this to the surface. So it's really something that's rising right now so that we really can balance out the divine feminine and the divine masculine on the planet. So everything really comes back into balance for everyone, for men and for women. Um, so yeah, it's a really interesting stage and phase that we are in right now.
Yeah,
I just
I
think it's
agree.
really important for us to all be talking about it. And, there's a lot of divine feminine as this comes up. There's a lot of anger within women too. So,
Yes, we
a lot
thought
of
that
that
rage would
anger is
come up.
being purged
Yeah.
too. So, which is okay because women have been taught that they shouldn't be angry and
Yeah.
not to show anger. And so there is a lot of that as we're watching what's going on outside with certain things that are happening. There is that collective, like real deep womb anger rising, you know what I
Mm,
mean? Which it
yeah.
should be because we have every right to be angry, and I think we need to, you know, it's safe and it's okay to voice that and to be in that too.
We were wondering if the divine rage would come up. Comes up 5 minutes in.
Yeah, yeah, but it is. It's like that energy, like that real deep serpent womb energy that's been suppressed for so long. That's really, yeah, like
Yeah.
coming up within everyone.
I think as well, exactly in agreement with what you just said. And the fact that I think we have such loud. I was going to say strong, but I don't even want to put strong in front of this word. But it's like, I think because we have such loud examples of hyper masculinity in politics,
Mhm.
in our society, online, and in our, physical communities as well. Like everyone knows that hyper masculine male, like the uncle or the political leader or whatever it is. I think because we have that in our sights all of the time, we have to see them, we have to hear about them, we have to read about them. Because of that, I think it just seems so extreme to us now, or extreme, I'll speak for myself. It seems so extreme to me that I'm like, what is the other end of this spectrum? Like when masculinity and the patriarchal society is just thrown in your face constantly all the time, especially since it has been, I would say, really for like the last 10 years, where, these specific people in our society are very against respecting the feminine and, everything that it stands for. To me, yeah, it straight away makes me think of like, what is the opposite side of this? Like, what is the counterbalance? Where is the natural, like the yin yang to this? Like, where is nature's um counterbalance to this behavior that we're seeing, to this narrative that we're seeing, to this energy that is out in the community and society at the moment, because it just can't be natural the way that
Mm.
the world has been running. It doesn't feel good. I would go as far even to say that it doesn't even feel good for a lot of men. Like, I
No,
think the patriarchy has trapped so many men and has completely closed off, everything about feminine energy, which you're going to talk us through in a second. But there's no real winners.
no, there isn't at
No,
all.
no.
No, and I think, and it's one of those hard things where it's like, I think women have tried to combat this with niceness and being women and showing compassion and showing empathy, which is great. But I think at this point right now, what's happening is that women are starting to actually fight back with that strength and with that loudness and with that anger. Again, not in a way of being, and again, we didn't really want to bring politics in it today, but into it today. But with the tickle versus giggle thing that's been going on, that beautiful woman in charge of that, the way that she speaks is so strong and so aligned that she is bringing such an amazing strength forward, putting the point forward, standing in her ground, but she's not yelling. She's not picking, she's not demeaning. Do you know what I mean? So I think it's that type of feminine strength that's bring bit you guys, I'm gonna let you in on
Put
a
that there.
secret. I'm menstruating overshare. And I was talking about before we came on, I'm like, I don't know whether my brain was gonna be able to do this. I'm gonna be fudging my words.
I mean,
But
isn't it the divine like the ultimate feminine thing to be doing is to be on day 1.5 of your cycle, as you said. I
yeah.
think you're so right. Before we go any further, it is so good to acknowledge the fact that there is that narrative and that story and that image of like the angry woman and the out of control woman and the woman that just needs to be put into place, that kind of thing. Like that's not what we're
The
talking about.
hysteria.
Yeah, we're not talking about that when we're talking about that feminine rage. But I think this kind of goes really nicely into where we want to go next, which is I want to hear from you, like what actually is feminine energy? Because I'm going to be honest, there's so much out there that like I think even just trying to understand it for myself, it can be confusing because I know maybe what it feels like within me. But when you are sharing and channeling and working with your community, how do you explain feminine energy? Like, what is it? What is it not?
Yeah, well, it's so vast, is the first thing. Like,
Yeah.
it's not a lie when they say that it's complicated and that women, it's a complicated
And women are complex.
structure. We're very complex energetically. And but to me, when I think about divine feminine, I think about sacred feminine power. It's all of those things I was saying earlier about, your compassion, your intuition, your empathy. But it is also just about that real deep connection to the womb. And the womb is that space, that deep anchoring, because we have this beautiful ability to be as divine feminine. It's about us being deeply anchored and rooted into the earth, into
Mm.
ancient womb wisdom, into ancient ancestors. And,
Mm.
going one step further for my work of spirituality, the dragon mothers who weaved the planet, who weaved the divine feminine
Wow.
and tapping, when we think of that Kundalini energy, the serpent energy,
Yes.
and here in Australia at the moment, that serpent energy is like really coming forward.
Wow.
And it's so, it's this mix between being deeply, deeply rooted into that tribal woman, but also the cosmic aspect, that we work very much with Venus. So
Mm.
Venus is that planet of womanhood, of divine feminine balance. So it's that, and the goddess Sophia, who is the feminine half of God. And I
Mm.
know that will probably challenge a lot of people's beliefs, but at the end of the day, we have to have divine masculine, divine
Yeah.
feminine. If there's God, there has to be goddess. And
Yes.
goddess Sophia is the wisdom, the
Mm.
creator, which again, people don't want to hear. But woman
Mhm.
is the creator, woman is the birther. So, to me, I mean, that's kind of gone off the question, I think, a little bit. But, the divine feminine energies is to me really about being deeply rooted in that root chakra, tribal, ancestral earth energy,
Mm.
all the way up through into the cosmic energy of divine Sophia. And just, it's also just such a vastness of emotion, of being connected into your womanhood, of being connected into who you really are
Yeah.
and standing strong in that.
Mm.
Divine feminine energy, sacred feminine power is about knowing who you are, loving who you are, understanding your emotions, loving on your emotions, whether they're good or bad.
Mm.
Bringing compassion to yourself if you're in healing, bringing compassion to yourself if you feel like you've done something wrong or done somebody wrong.
Yeah.
It's just, yeah, I don't think there's a real easy, simple, sort of straight,
And it doesn't have to be.
you
I think,
know.
we talk about this often, as we said, but women are complex, women are intelligent. They can listen to this and be like, yes, 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 like the duality of all of that.
Mm,
And I love when we're talking about feminine energy, it just seems like it goes, as we said, or as you said, rather, back into like our ancestral connections. And then also when I'm listening to, I'm like, I can feel myself like deeply rooting into the earth as
mm,
well, even though I'm in my house. But like, it's just, there's something so beautiful and real and authentic. And yeah, it just like puts me into this space of like awe of how deeply connected we are as beings, especially women. And yeah, I just love like that connection to ancestors and to the earth and to I don't know enough about the dragon mothers. I feel like that's like a whole other episode that we need to do. But yeah, and when I'm listening to you, that kind of informs so much of what manifestation is as well. Like you're talking about knowing deeply who you really are and who we're meant to be and connecting with what it is that we are really truly desiring and wanting. And that's exactly what manifestation is all about. Like manifestation is the process of shifting and analyzing and examining your inner world in order to create a very specific outcome for your physical 3D reality. So it's, tuning into your thoughts, examining your beliefs, and really exploring what actions and behaviors that you've been taking so that you are understanding that what you are creating as a reality inside of you is having a direct effect to what is actually being produced or shown to you or mirrored to you in your outside world.
mm,
And so when you're talking about connecting with your essence and with your ancestral lineage and with your true desires and your intuition, like to me, that is really just becoming more of who you're meant to be, right? And we're going to talk about unlearning and all of the juiciness there, but like when we're talking about manifestation, it really is just about embodying the version of you that is your truest self, that is your bravest self, that is your highest self, and the version of you that has everything that you desire. Like that version of you exists. And in divine feminine energy, it sounds like when you're talking about it, it's something that we can tap into at any time.
mm. Oh, it's just like you are divine feminine
Yeah,
energy.
it's here right now.
Whether you like intentionally do work, whatever, you are divine feminine energy right here, right now.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I think it would be helpful if you spoke a little bit more about like what is something that people think that feminine energy is, but it's actually not? Like, what are some of the things that people say about feminine energy? Like, I know, even for example, like when people talk badly about being a feminist or talking badly about men, like, would you say they're the two biggest misconceptions about
Yeah,
it?
I think the two biggest misconceptions are on like opposite ends of the spectrum. So you've got when
Mm.
people go, oh, divine feminine, they either go, oh, you're going to run around in your maxi dress
Yeah.
on the beach, flowing in the breeze, being all off with the fairies and
I
like,
mean, that sounds nice too, though.
squatting in the bush and like, do you know what I mean? So I think there's that misconception of, oh, when you're talking divine feminine, oh, it's very flighty and airy fairy, and oh, I'm so divine feminine. Like, and
Hmm.
I'm not like I'm being sarcastic to like overemphasize
Yes.
like the way that people feel about it, but that is part of the divine feminine.
Yeah.
And there are some people who express themselves in their divine feminine in that way, which is beautiful. Like I said, the divine feminine is just this massive vastness of everything in between, like anything in life, right?
Mm.
But I think a lot, like for a lot of people in this day and age of where we're at in society and the way society is, for some people, they look at that and they're like, oh, if I'm going to be in divine feminine, then I'm, this airy, fairy, flighty. And I think with that, a lot of people also think that divine feminine is being overly compassionate, overly empathetic, overly sacrificial with your time. If I'm
Yes.
going to be divine feminine, then it's all about everybody else. And if
Yeah.
I can't be selfish because that's not what being spiritually divine feminine means.
Well, again, I think that's just a whole nother episode in
Oh,
itself
totally.
too.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But then on the other hand, I think you've got people who look at feminine, divine feminine, sacred feminine power who think boss bitch babe,
Yeah.
you know, overly aggressive, like you're saying, like man hating men suck,
Yeah.
and it's not about that either,
Yeah.
and not that, again, not that there's anything wrong with being a boss bitch babies. That's how you authentically express your divine feminine. Like that's
Yeah.
wicked.
Yeah.
But again, I think for people who are sort of in that, like, I don't know, we all have our different ways of the way that we either experience or view, you know, different things. So I think, yeah, a lot of people get a little bit on either side. Like if you're in your divine feminine, it has to be that or that.
Mm.
And when you're in true expression of your own divine feminine and you're in your own sacred power, mine's gonna look different to yours, gonna look different to the chick next door, gonna look different to, the woman over there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that, and I think that's perfectly said. And we were kind of touching on this before as well, where I think with that view of women as, that boss vibes, like hating on men kind of thing, I think that's really possibly, in my opinion, what we've been seeing in the world where we've had these I would say toxic masculine leaders who are now feel like they're scrambling, like they're
Mm,
trying so hard to control women, to walk back all of these rights that we've fought so hard for generations, and who frankly just seem really threatened. And to me, that represents the fact that that feminine that divine feminine energy is rising in our community and is rising in our world, and watching them try to scramble and hold on so tightly to the power that they've had for so long, it does make me think that like they are using that really toxic narrative of that angry feminist woman to
mhm,
their advantage.
mhm,
Whereas when you're a woman, as we said, and if you're a man as well, like you can appreciate there's so many nuances to things. It's not just black and white. The reason why men and women and every person on this world like exists together at the same time is
mm,
because we're all meant to be here together, learning things from each other, balancing each other out. And there's a purpose to that. Like our feminine energy and the masculine energy and all of the other energies that are brought on by every single human in this world, like we can all be together
mhm,
and living in harmony with one another without that power struggle, without that constantly trying to like cut each other off at the legs. And you know what I mean? Like that,
mm.
I
Yeah.
think from what I hear from you, like the divine feminine energy is so less concerned about the top spot, like who's right at the top. It's more about like the community and working together and then bringing it back to yourself of like, who am I? what is my role? What do I have to contribute? What do I have
Mhm.
to serve? And yeah, like it's that collective way of looking, but it's also like the self accountability and the self respect.
Yes, for sure. And you're right. Like the divine feminine is all about community. It's about everyone. And we've got to remember too that there's divine feminine and divine masculine in all of us.
Mm,
So as this energy is rising, a lot of men are actually becoming balanced in their own feminine energy too. And I've
mm,
noticed this as well out there. You've got a lot more men going, oh my gosh, why is this happening? You can't let this happen to women. You can't, I don't want my daughter to be living in this. Like, do you know what I mean? So you've also got that, that change in perspective and that understanding and that, oh, this is what's happening
yeah.
coming forward within men too,
Yeah.
because we do have both of those within us,
Mm,
and if we didn't, we wouldn't have really probably been able to organize this podcast and have a like little, because that's masculine energy. Masculine
yes.
energy is the structure, it's the organization, it's the actually get up and go
Yeah.
energy. And so we need both of those things. But yeah, we tend to, a lot of us, be programmed to be a lot more in the masculine
Hmm.
than allowing our intuition to help guide us and have those two beautiful things working together.
Yeah. And haven't
'Cause-
we been talking so much lately about like settling into our feminine energy? Like we've
Mhm.
been, like I've been calling it the fertile void. I read this somewhere and I was like, Hayley, we're in this together. Like we seem to just be in sync with a few things.
Yeah, yeah.
But
And that phase is so important. Like, in my world and what I teach, Aphrodite brings through the sacred void. It's the underworld. It's this
Mhm.
phase of Venus where Venus is behind the sun, and it's that you really are in the cosmic womb and being held in that as you reprioritize,
Yeah.
as your energy recalibrates, and I know you're going to talk about a little bit more with manifestation, and you were just
Mm.
talking about that shedding and the thing that what you need to step into,
Yeah.
and the void holds you in that as
Mm.
you shed things. That cosmic void, that beautiful womb energy surrounds you so that you, as you're changing and letting go of that stuff, your energy can recalibrate and you can step into that newer version. You can step into that person who has those things that you're trying to bring in.
Yeah.
And yeah, like we were both saying, like we've been in this void space for like about 5 weeks,
Yeah.
going,
But
yeah.
it's felt, I think because we have that self-awareness and I've been lucky enough to be talking to you about all of this stuff for, more than 6 months now. But I think we had the language to be like, okay, we've been in our masculine for a while. We've been efforting, we've been doing all the things, ticking off all of the lists, going through all of the actions that we needed to take at the start of this year to like hit the ground running, right? But because we've been in this void for the last 5 weeks and we kind of felt it, we knew what it was, it felt familiar, and we were like, okay, like let's just go with this. Like we don't have to resist it. It felt safe. Like, did it feel safe for you? Because it felt really safe for me to
Oh
just
yeah,
like,
I mean, I do have my
yeah,
moments. Like last week, I was like, okay,
yes,
this is like, like, and I did feel myself getting into that masculine thing of like wanting to like push
yeah,
forward and try to do something and try to get out
totally.
of it, which knocked me back straight away. It was like, yeah, nah, love, I don't think so.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah,
And that's going to happen naturally.
yeah. And we've been
Again, especially
conditioned,
in the world
right?
we live in.
Yeah, we've been conditioned to like we've tied our productivity with our worth. And so it's like, what are we producing? What are we working on? What are we achieving? But when I think about this sounds really weird, but like when we were just talking about that, I was thinking like how when we went into the void, it was like slipping into a warm bath for
Mm.
me. And I was like, this is exactly what I need. Yes, so comfy.
Mhm.
And there's a season for everything. Like I think that's what feminine beings are so good at understanding. Like there's a season where you're wanting to push and achieve and, really effort. And
Mhm.
then there's seasons where we need to just be
Yeah.
and go into that void. And I guess that is all to do with our cyclical, like life that we have. Whether you are a menstruating woman or whether you are someone who identifies as being female and being a woman and following those cyclical cycles, whether that's the moon or the seasons that are around us, like we know that there's a purpose for everything, right? There's a purpose for like the summer and the winter, and there's a purpose for being visible and being seen, and there's the purpose for like coming back to yourself, would you
Mhm.
say?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing. And again, something else that's very feminine, like we was talking about with the earth, it's, your own cycle, but it's also the
Mhm.
seasons. It's coming into, I mean, on this half of the world now, we're coming into that winter season where we're coming into that time of hibernation and being more still and being more inward. And again, the moon, we've got a full moon coming up this week, and
So excited for the full moon. I've been
using that.
counting down. Yes.
So all that energy too, and that cyclical nature. And again, like we were talking about before, women are designed to be more in tune with that, in more in tune with those cycles, whereas
Mm,
men are more in tune to just go by day to day and be like, what moon? Like,
yes.
you know what I mean? It's just not the way that they're energetically wired. And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
yeah, it's certainly, yeah.
It makes me think of, how this all relates back to manifestation. And we're talking about like this deep connection with our surroundings, with
Mhm.
Earth, with the seasons, with nature. But I think when you're connecting to all of those things, what I see with the women that I'm working with is that when you are in nature and when you are grounding, when you are connecting with that feminine energy, when you are in sisterhood, when you are, having those rituals that allow you to worship the moon and where it's at, and that allow you to slow down with your cycle, all that is actually just also strengthening your connection to your intuition.
Mm.
And when you are manifesting, that is one of, if not the most important thing. I don't know, there's so many important things when you're talking about manifestation because it's this interwoven, like there's so many different core concepts that you need to be aware of, like the self-awareness and the intuition kind of thing. But if you are not connected to your intuition, and you could say if you are not connected to your own feminine and masculine energies and your essence inside of you, you can't really manifest what is really meant for you,
No, not at
right?
all. And I
Because,
think, oh, sorry, I was going
no,
to say, and
you
I think
go.
this is why a lot of people struggle with manifestation because they think that they're coming from a point of what they want, but they're not because
Mm,
they haven't really gone deep enough to go, this is what I actually want, in case they're going to be judged on it or it's completely against what their family is saying. So I think a lot of people start with manifestation going, oh, well, I want a car and I want this house and I want this job and I want this
yes.
family, whatever it
I've
is,
been
when
there, been there.
really, yeah, when we're really, it's when they really tap into themselves and really listen,
Yeah,
they don't want that big job. They don't want to live in that place.
yeah,
They don't want to have a family. They
yeah,
don't, and that's okay. If
yes.
that's what your true heart desires. And I think this is why people do get funny about manifestation because they're not starting from that deep inner space. And
Well,
I
there's so
think,
much noise, Hales. Like, there's so
yeah.
much noise, there's so much content and information, and people telling, especially women, what they should want, what they should look like, what they should be doing, how they should be doing it, when they should be doing it,
Mm.
who they should be doing it with. And so, like, no one can blame anyone for just being so utterly confused
Yeah.
and not having deep practices. Like, I see this all the time where women are like, is this the right, like, is this what I should be doing? I don't know. And then when I ask them, like, what is that sense in your gut or in your heart? Like, what is your intuition telling you? And they don't even know what their intuition sounds like or
No.
feels like. And I totally understand that, especially if you're in like a really heightened state and you're trying to make a decision from fight, flight, or fawn,
Hmm.
um, or freeze. There's so many of them now.
Yeah.
But like I get it because your ego is so loud when it's fearful and when it's trying to protect you or when it's trying to conform for the reason of belonging.
Mhm.
and approval, which keeps us alive or kept us alive back in the day. But like you can see why people are so disconnected from their intuition. And like I think when I think about how the divine femme and how manifestation like really works together, it really is at that first point and call, like connecting with self.
Yeah. Absolutely. And that's like literally, I mean, I know that we're going to talk about later about steps to, the first things to be doing, but to me, that is the first thing to be doing.
Yeah.
Like you've got to connect to yourself. You've got to take that time every day, even if it's 5 minutes,
Mm,
you know,
yeah. I've
to,
started seeing it as like this, it's like the space between things. When I started learning Vedic meditation in the year of COVID, it was like, how do you just create more and more like pockets of space and quiet and stillness? And it's like, our minds are always running. There's always the next thought, like there's always something that we need to do or somewhere that we need to be. But it's like, even between those moments, like who we are in those little spaces and those little like gaps in between, to me, that is where my intuition is. Like that is
Mhm.
where my essence is. That is where my heart and my soul is and like who I actually am. Because it's not everything that I'm trying to do or achieve or get done. It's actually just like my beingness inside of me. And like I've really felt like when I have been able to create those little pockets of quiet, as you said, throughout the day, like even just 5 minutes, that even probably is too long for some people. Hey, don't you reckon?
yeah,
Like so many people would not sit in silence and stillness for 5 minutes.
no,
It's
terrified
too
of it,
hard for, yeah,
terrified of it, or just bored, don't
yeah,
understand the point of it.
yeah.
Sorry, I'm being really sarcastic on that, so I do apologize if I'm saying that and you're going, yeah, that's me. Um, but even if it's 1 minute, start with 1 minute of just
Mm,
sticking your hands on your heart and breathing and allowing your body to relax and just come out of, because it's all because everyone's just up here heightened in fight or flight, freeze,
mm,
fawn, whatever it is, like you said, all
yeah,
the F's.
all the F's.
Um, yeah,
Yeah.
to just be able to just tap into your own, like you're never going to hear intuition or be able to tap
Mm,
into yourself or know what it is that you're really feeling
yeah,
if you're just treading water up here in this like heightened hyper,
yeah.
with your nervous system just like blah, 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 blah.
When I when I think about intuition and when I'm teaching it to my community, I always refer to it, and you might have a different way of thinking about this, Hales, but I always refer to it as the language of our body
For
because I
sure.
feel like our ego is so in our mind, like our mind is so overactivated. We're so fearful. There's always something to be worrying about, always something to be thinking about. Whereas I think whenever I have taught about intuition and really asked the women that I'm working with and myself, like, where do I feel like that deep inner knowing? Like, it is a feeling. It's not
Mm.
like the voice inside my head being like, that you've got to do this. Like,
Yeah.
it's so much more subtle than that. It's so much more quiet. And it's usually for me, like in my stomach or in my heart, where I'm like, you know that you need to do this. Like it's just like this gentle little voice. It's so loving and quiet and gentle and not like angry or flustered or
Mm.
frustrated. It's never that.
Yeah.
And so I think like it's something that we need to do to always be, yes, working with our ego, being able to soothe that inner child, be able to soothe those limiting beliefs and like all of those fears that are coming up, while also tapping into our body in those moments of silence and solitude and spaciousness to actually feel our way to what is next for us, what is meant for us. Like, would you say that when you're tapping into feminine energy, a lot of it is that somatic, like feeling
Oh,
sense?
absolutely. And like nothing pees me off more in the community of intuition and people teaching intuition and guide connection when they say, what's the first thing that comes into your mind?
Mm,
No, not the first thing that comes into your mind.
yeah.
What's
Yeah.
the first thing you feel in your body? What's
Yes.
the first emotion that goes, woo?
Mm,
Do you know what I
that's,
mean?
yeah,
Like, and
I
I think
absolutely know.
one of the things that you can do to start practicing and again, I know we're going to do this later, but just for
No, go for it.
is feeling into that body and start by asking questions you know the answer to. So like if
Yes.
you sit here and you go, truth, my name's Hayley. Yeah, of course it is. Like it's like, yeah. If I go, truth, my name's Max, like my body sinks.
Mm,
I get this little flutter in here because I know it's not truth.
mm-hmm.
So you can go, okay, truth, I love my job. I'm like, yeah. Truth, I'd love to go work in childcare again. Oh, yeah. Like, and it's
Yeah.
those little things and those little indications that we
Yeah.
should be listening to all the time, right down into even, I really want to eat a big, massive bowl of pasta today.
Mm-hmm.
My body just goes, oh, no, because my guts are like,
Yes.
but then there's that part of your brain that goes, oh, but how good does pasta taste? So I'm just
Yeah,
going to
yeah,
eat it
yeah.
anyway. Even though my entire energy, my entire body is saying, please don't eat pasta.
Yes.
My ego goes, but I love the taste of pasta. It's got so much cheese. Like,
It's addictive
and it's
and yeah.
addictive. It's got all stuff in it that just makes me want to eat it more. And so, yeah, like being like that sort of visceral bodily
Mm.
connection when it
Yeah.
comes to intuition is just, yeah.
You know what, Hales? Like that's actually exactly like I've never taught that before, but I actually was doing that when I was deciding whether or not I wanted to have a baby.
Hmm.
So I have a 10-year-old stepson. We have him half the time, but I've spent the last, well, for the last year, I've known that we didn't want to have a baby, but for the last year and a half before that, we were all in prep mode for expanding our family, becoming a mother to a biological child. And it just wasn't feeling good. It wasn't feeling right. It was making me feel really constricted and just fearful. And I remember like one of the things that I read or listened to from this podcast I was listening to at the time to help me make the decision, it said like to say exactly that, what you just shared, say out loud, I want to be a mum. And you just keep saying it over and over again. And I would do it when I was driving. And I was like, that is not true.
Mm,
Like I could sense in my whole body, nah, like straight away, I was like, no, no, that's not what I want. And then when I would flip it and I would say, I don't want to be a mum, and like instantly my guts, like there was just this line that pulled up and was like, yeah, that's me.
mm,
And I'm like, oh my God, that's what I was doing.
yeah.
And that you're so right. Like it's so that sense of the body and our intuition speaks so subtly. And if we don't have these practices or if we don't have the knowledge to learn how to actually tap into it, then we're just running through our ego that wants us to eat the creamy, cheesy pasta all the time,
Hmm.
you know?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And there's so
absolutely.
much, I would even go so far to say, like, there's so much suffering that can be avoided if we tapped into
On a
our
teeny
intuition.
tiny day-to-day basis.
Yeah.
Even the fact of like how overscheduled is your weekend
Mm,
for anyone listening, right?
yeah.
Even that, what are the things that if you actually listen to your intuition and your body, would you take out this weekend that you didn't want to do?
Yeah. And the masculine part of me, like just on that example, the masculine part of me, like I want to see everyone and I want to still be connected to everyone. So I have like a friend catch up booked in for like the next 6 weeks, once a week. You know what I mean? But then my feminine energy, like the essence in me, like the slower part of me knows like don't book anything on your bleed weekend because you just need to rest.
Hmm.
But it's like, yeah, like it's living this society where we have to be masculine and plan and be structured and schedule things while also like making room for like our intuition and then to actually be able to listen to it as well. It's like
Yeah.
it's such a tightrope we walk now, don't
Yeah.
you think?
Oh, absolutely. And even, I mean, for those women who are listening who do have families and do have multiple children, like I
Mm,
know it's hard to go, well, my kid has to go to soccer and my kid has to, like, absolutely. But,
mm,
there's also bits in there that you can go, well, can my partner do it?
yeah.
Can their friend's mum do it because I need to
Mm,
do this? Or, if you're not feeling well, do they really have to go today if you're not feeling well and you don't really want to take them? Do you know what I mean? But then it's that whole, again, like that thing of, well, I'm a mum, so I have to sacrifice everything. And it's
Yeah.
just such, and again, like we live in such a complicated society now,
Mm,
um, where these things, are unfortunately programmed into us that that's the way it has to be and that's what has to happen. But
mm,
I mean, I know that everybody has their own life, and there are some single mums with multiple children. And so, yes, it is very difficult, but you really do need to start listening to yourself and listening to whether that does feel right, because you're the one that's going to end up running yourself into the ground.
mm.
You're the one that's going to end up sick. You're the one that's going to end up stressed out, you know, all the other things that go on with people.
Yeah. And even like if we're talking to the single women that are listening to my one,
Mhm.
it's the same offering there. It's the same advice. It's like if you are constantly running around, burning yourself out by socializing, if you are burning yourself out by going on back-to-back dates, by endlessly swiping on the dating apps, it's the same thing.
Mhm.
I understand that like we're told that we need to do that and that that is the way that you meet your soulmate and that's the way that you meet your partner and manifest them, but it's just not true because when you are operating from lack, oh, this is where we need to go, Hells. Like when you're operating from lack,
Mm.
firstly, you can't manifest from there because at the basis of lack, there is fear. But
And
then
desperation.
yes. And then, but as we're like, as you and I talk about all the time, the feminine energy, the divine feminine is the opposite of lack. Like when
Mm.
we're speaking about it, it's abundance, it's creator, the ultimate creator energy, like with the womb. Like,
Yeah.
okay, I think I'm like tripping over myself because I just remember we're going to talk about this. Like, can you tell us more?
What are we talking about? Wombs.
Okay, so tell us more about like how feminine energy is the ultimate state of abundance and tie that into like, how like we are the ultimate creators, like the womb, like the creative energy, the creative life force, like that is
Yeah.
where we manifest from.
Yeah, absolutely. That womb center. And I know like a lot of people say like the men have the sacral, and the women have the womb, and it's kind of like the same thing. And I don't think that it is. And when I see it in my mind, like I see like the sacral and I see the womb as a whole nother layer of energetic capacity behind it. So
Mm,
yes, like men have a sacral chakra, and in Hinduism and things like and Ayurvedic, there's another like yoni and something. Um, and that is a creative space. That is that sacral center, is a space for creation, passion, manifestation, all of those things. But it's like the womb brings this extra cosmic, divine feminine process into it. And I mean, we can go in like a
yeah.
whole nother podcast on creation of the planet, and like
Yeah.
go back to all of these things and parthenogenesis within high priestesses back in the day who did actually, divine beings like way back before the world created
Mm,
without a male, because the male and it was like an androgynous thing.
mm,
And so women are kind of like that. We have that absolute and utter divine feminine wisdom, this creation within us that we can bring anything forward. And that's just something that's been squashed within us.
yeah.
I mean, we can again go into a whole other podcast about the suppression of the womb and how periods and
Mm,
all of that has been made to be something that's shameful and terrible, and like our creation has become something that's not a divine experience or a divine union or a divine happening.
yeah,
Do you know what I mean?
I do.
Um, I've totally gone off topic. I forgot what we were
No,
talking
no, you're spot on. And I think
about.
like when I think about manifestation, I think of needing to be in that state of abundance, of
Mhm.
limitlessness, like
Yes,
that,
expansion,
yes,
possibility, like
yes.
anything. And it is like, when we go in with the womb, and you can do a meditation with this with Sophia. She shows you, like I've done meditations with her and leading through circle with other women in my program. that she shows the womb space. We go into the womb space and it's a night of stars. And she says to you, you can pick all those stars are possibilities.
Oh my gosh.
An expansion. You know, when you look up in pure clear night sky and it's just nothing but galaxy and Milky Way. And every
Wow.
single one of those stars is anything you want, anything. Pick one.
Oh my
And you
gosh.
like pick a star and pull the star out and hold it in front of you and place it into your womb, into your heart, whatever that
Wow.
desire is. That's the possibility that we have.
Wow.
And the unfortunate problem is that we're in this box.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I can go off on a tangent on identity.
Mm.
We have this whole thing around identity and what's your identity and blah, 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 blah. But identity actually squashes everything. It
Yeah.
limits your possibility.
Yeah.
Because if you identify as a woman, how many squishes do you get now in today's society about what you can do as a woman?
Oh yeah.
I'm a mum. There goes another box now. So, because what are your limits as a mum? I have to sacrifice. I have to be all about my children. I have to be here, there, and everywhere for everyone else.
Yeah.
So, every time you put an identity on yourself, I'm a certain ethnicity. I'm a teacher, even your job, I'm a teacher. So, therefore, I
Mhm.
need to behave like this and be like this. I'm a
Yeah.
wife. So, therefore, I have to behave like this and be like this. So it just completely squashes. And when we just say, I'm a beautiful, divine, feminine being of the cosmos, that's it.
Wow.
The possibility then becomes more endless because you don't have all of these. Well, I'm a mum, so I have to sacrifice and do this and do that. I'm a woman, so I'm not smart enough at finances. I'm not, supposed to be in this or whatever.
Yeah.
Which I know is changing, and there's a lot more
Mm.
women moving into like men things, like there's so
Mm-hmm.
many amazing women plumbers and carpenters and
Yeah.
all these things that were said to be manly jobs or whatever into finance, all those things now, which is brilliant, but it still then puts limits.
Yeah.
And so tapping into that womb space and being a part of that womb space allows you to understand that when it comes to manifestation, yeah, just pick your star and stick
Yeah.
it in your heart and do it,
I mean, that's
you
such an
know.
incredible visualization. I've never heard of anything like that before.
Mm,
That's thank you.
that's all
I feel
right.
like I'm going to be thinking
That's
about that.
Sophia for you. That's what
Oh
she
my
brings
God.
forward, the divine mother. She is the divine mother. She
Yeah.
is wisdom.
Wow. I love how beautifully poetic, like all of this can be spoken to, like the language that can be used, and it really just puts such a visual in our mind. And I think with manifestation, anything that reminds us of our limitlessness, like that we can do anything and be anything and channel anything and attract anything.
Mhm.
All we need to do is think it, and
Yeah.
then things start moving like beneath the
So I
surface,
have to say to you now, you need to tell us the egg story.
Are we
Bring forward
going
the egg. Yeah, you need to tell the egg story and how that
well, since
works.
we're in the womb,
Since
since
we're in
we're
the womb, egg story it up. Some of
since
you may have heard this, some of you may have not.
oh my gosh, well, I feel like, I actually heard about it I think a while ago when I was thinking about conceiving, and it kind of dropped from my brain when I decided, nope, that's not for me. And then it's come up recently again. And on our one of our recent phone calls, I was like, Hayley, have you heard about this before? This is incredible. And, it's all about egg wisdom. So when the egg is released, when an ova is released from our ovary, on a monthly basis. Sometimes multiple are released, but when that's released and it's waiting to be fertilized, it doesn't just chase down the sperm. Like it doesn't push and effort it and, strain to get to where it needs to be. It releases this incredible, like magnetic force through hormones and through energy, which attracts what it is trying to attract, like attracting the sperm to it, attracting its destiny to it, if that is the destiny that it is meant for. And so, like, there's this. this belief, this concept called egg wisdom that we can channel at any time, especially when we're manifesting, that we just need to be the egg. We just need to be the egg and magnetize what it is that we are desiring and let it come to us. Like, let it be easy. Obviously, we need to make ourselves, you know, as ready and ripe as we can for what it is that we're attracting. So we need to make sure that our environment is ready. We need to make sure that we are in a great emotional and mental space. We need to make sure that we are ready to open our lives to what it is that we're manifesting. We need to look after our side of the garden, like our side of the street, whatever the analogy is. But at the same time, just know that like what is meant for us is not going to miss us. If we're doing all the things that we need to do, if we are honoring all of our feminine energy, if we're honoring our deepest magnetic code, which we'll talk about later on, if we are tapping into our intuition, if we're following what it is that we are truly desiring, that in itself is already magnetizing the outcome to us that we are desiring. We can't choose the speed of it, unfortunately, at all times, as Hayley and I both know very well. We can't always just speed it up or click our fingers and have the outcome that we want, but we can be the egg. We can drop the struggle. We can trust that everything that we are doing in our lives is going to actually, you know, manifest what is meant for us and what our destiny is, like what our I haven't even said the word destiny in like years. And now I've said it like three times in this podcast. But and to me, like it's that mindset of abundance again. Like when you are the egg, like when you're filled with this life force, this potential, when you're talking about the womb and the night sky and picking the stars, again, potential. It's like this like state of true abundance where like yeah, there's just this dropping of the lack and fear that we're going to miss out or that there's not enough people out there or that our dreams are never going to come true. And obviously those things and those fears and intrusive thoughts are human, right? Like we both know
Yeah, and
that.
valid.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
valid. And it's our job to walk with our inner child and it's our job to walk with ourselves along this path to like be there and like comfort ourselves and to know that no matter what happens, actually, like we're going to be okay.
Mhm.
But yeah, it's like this state of complete and utter abundance that I associate with manifestation and the potential and divine femme, because how do you create a human being? How do you create a business? How do you create literally anything in your life without there being like it being pulled from a state of limitless abundance,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like anything to do with that womb space and the egg wisdom, like it's all just so cool. It would make no sense.
Thank
Like
you.
if I said this to Scott, my partner, he would be like, "What are you talking about?"